Hello everyone and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh video on the channel. One of the scenes I created for Udays and Zuijo included a new fusion monster called Transamuvoid Rainac. I really like this idea and I think it would be a perfect monster to include in the show. So I wanted to flesh this out and share my ideas with y'all. So let's start with the name. Transamuvoid Rainac is a combination of the monster name Transamu Rainac and the name of the archetype that Zuijo uses, being Voidovelg. And while we're discussing the name, you'll notice that I'm using some Japanese pronunciation. I say Voido instead of Void because not only does it sound better in this context, but it also pulls even more from the archetype name Voidovelg. In the show, Voidovelg is pronounced as Voidovelg. And one more thing. The name Transamuvoid Rainac, just being Transamu Rainac with the void from Voidovelg inserted in, is likely to actually be its name if it appears in the show. And that is because of another fusion monster that involves Transamu Rainac. This time, it's fusion with Seven's Robe Magician. This fusion monster is known as Transamuvoid Rainac. And you notice the Japanese pronunciation on that too. All things considered, I think this is a good and very likely name for this monster if it actually appears in the show. Which it definitely should, this is awesome. But let's move on from the name and discuss how to actually summon it. This monster, as you may have guessed, is a fusion of Transamu Rainac and one of Zuijo's Voidovelg monsters, specifically his ace. By fusing together Transamu Rainac, the card that Utis has been self-identifying with this entire show, and Voidovelg Requiem, which is Zuijo's ace monster, they can fusion summon Transamuvoid Rainac. However, I am going to put a stipulation on this. I think its effect might be a little too good to be just fusion summoned with a regular fusion card. So if I were really trying to make this more balanced, I might throw in a card-specific requirement. So maybe it has to be summoned through the use of a specific fusion card that only works in galaxy types. But then again, its effect isn't too broken, so maybe it can just be regularly fusion summoned after all. But what is its effect, you're asking? Well, let's get to that now. I think Transamuvoid would have base 2500 attack, because classic ace monster stuff, but it can boost its attack through its effect. It doesn't count itself for any of these effects, and this doesn't affect any of its effects, but this is the only card to my knowledge in the entirety of Yu-Gi-Oh! That has two attributes at once. It's both a light and a dark attribute. And this isn't an effect, it's just his attribute. So if it gets his effects negated for some reason, it still has both attributes. But back to its actual effect. Like I said, it doesn't count itself for any of these, so keep that in mind. And also keep in mind that the Rush Duel field only has 3 total monster zones, not the 5 you're probably thinking of because of Master Duel. Got it? Good. Let's continue. If light or dark attribute monsters are on their field, and I say their field because I'm assuming they're in attack duel for this, Transamuvoid gains 500 attack for each one. So if this effect gives it the boost twice because there are 2 other monsters on their field, it's up to 3500 attack. If both attributes, so light and dark, are on their field, it gains an additional 500 attack, so now it's up to 4000. Finally, if both attributes are on their field, and the light attribute monster is a normal monster, Transamuvoid gains a final 1000 extra attack for a total of 5000. And these are all continuous effects, so if all these go off without a hitch, it successfully, and semi-permanently, doubles its own attack. It also can't be destroyed by effects, by the way, so the only way to take it out is in a battle. And with 5000 attack, that won't be easy. Plus, it could also be receiving additional boosts from other cards, such as the equip spells characters love to use in Go Rush. And it could also be made easier to summon. In order to use the regular fusion card, the materials need to be on the field. However, what if the opponent catches on to your plan, and plays a card that blocks tribute summoning, like Yumu did to Udius in episode 66? Requiem needs to be tribute summoned, so if you don't have a way to special summon it, you're in trouble. But the episode that introduced the problem also introduced the solution. In response to Yumu blocking his tribute summon, Udius ends up playing a new field spell, one that allows him to fuse with monsters from his hand like he's playing Polymerization. In a tag duel, this should also count the partner's hand, plus it's a field spell so it affects everybody in the field. So if Transamu Rainac and this field spell were on the field and Zuijo had Requiem in his hand, they could successfully pull off the fusion even if their opponents blocked their tribute summon. But let's move on from that and talk about some more things. Like, what does this monster even look like? Well, I couldn't even attempt to draw this thing. In a couple weeks, I'm going to be seeing my aunt who's really good at drawing, so hopefully we'll be able to work on that and I'll be able to upload a picture for y'all to look at. For now, though, I'm just going to describe what I have, and hopefully I can do that well enough so you can all picture it in your head. So, let's jump in. So, as we know, Transamuvoid is a fusion of Transamuvoid Rainac and Requiem. So, obviously, we have to incorporate elements of both. Their sizes are pretty different. Transamuvoid Rainac is about the size of the person, and Requiem is much bigger, but I think it would be about Requiem's size. It would have Transamuvoid Rainac's face and a grill over its mouth that looks similar to Requiem's mask. It would have Requiem's wings and possibly its tail, and obviously it has a sword since both monsters have them, although the sword would probably look a bit more like Requiem's than Transamuvoid Rainac's. Both monsters have humanoid shapes, but Transamuvoid Rainac is a bit more so than Requiem, so I think it would be a bit closer to Transamuvoid Rainac than Requiem's body shape. It would have Transamuvoid Rainac's hair, but changed a bit. It would be longer and hanging down rather than sticking up, and have more purple at the bottom, similar to Zuijo's hair. This monster is a fusion of their ace monsters, as well as representing Udius and Zuijo themselves merging their power and becoming one as well. So we incorporate small details from them as well as their monsters. We have the hair being similar to Zuijo's, so now we need a detail from Udius, and that would be his face markings. Udius and Zuijo are the only two Belgiarians to have face markings, and each of them have unique markings. So we put Udius's markings onto Transamuvoido's face. As for the outfit, Requiem is armor, not clothes, but Transamuvoid Rainac has a flowy outfit. It has a purple piece on top that resembles a shawl, so let's keep that, but make it a darker shade of purple, which more closely resembles the top piece of Zuijo's outfit. And while there isn't a clasp on Transamuvoid Rainac's shawl, there is one on Zuijo's outfit, so let's put one on Transamuvoido. However, let's make the clasp more closely resemble the piece of Udius' outfit where his gavel charge lives. And then for the rest of the outfit, we continue using Transamuvoid Rainac's, but we change it so it looks less like a dress, and we change the colors as well, having white on the top that fades into black on the bottom. So once again, pulling from both Udius and Zuijo's outfit. Requiem kind of looks like it's wearing leggings, so we'll keep that part, and have Transamuvoido wearing boots that looks like part of Requiem's armor. And for the final piece, the summon chant. Obviously we need one because what epic monster doesn't have a summon chant? I've come up with something that I think really works and is really cool, and I can totally see them doing this. Udius and Zuijo alternate talking here, so please pay close attention to the screen so you can see who's talking. The chant is, "From the expanse of empty sky, a mighty hero makes his presence known. Wielding the power of both the stars and the darkness of space, with a stroke of his celestial blade, our Velgiard reveals itself. Fusion summon, appear, Transamuvoid Rainac." What do you think? Like I said, I can totally see them doing this as a summon chant. But now, let's explain it. Obviously, it had to start with "From the expanse of empty sky," because not only does Requiem's chant start with that, but I can't remember a single one of Zuijo's summon chants that doesn't start with that phrase. So apparently he really likes it. You'd think Udius would start it off because he's the protag, but the fact that it has to start with that phrase means that Zuijo has to start it off. After all, it is his phrase. As for the hero and celestial blade parts of the chant, that pulls from Transamuvoid Rainac's chant, which is, "When the blade of light sweeps through the celestial river, the hero appears to the call of his name, Transamuvoid Rainac." The hero part is obvious, and while I was misremembering and thought it said celestial blade, not blade of light and celestial river, I think celestial blade actually fits better in Transamuvoido's chant. For the part about having the power of the stars and the darkness of space, that's because his whole monster is about combining and having the power of both the light and the darkness. Not in a good one when insane way. I mean, this is about the power of Udius and Zuijo's galaxy-type decks. Udius has the light, and Zuijo uses the darkness. And finally, if you've watched Go Rush, you should know this by now, but the Velgiard referred to in the chant is the Velgiarian Road, or should I say, the path of the Velgiarians, the way they should go. And that's all I have for now on Transamuvoid Rainac. Don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And as always, have a great day, everyone.